I think the market finally realized that what's going on between Russia and Ukraine doesn't actually have that big of an existential threat to Bitcoin. Now, obviously, if things escalated, which I don't think they're going to, more than they already have, then we would probably see an impact on Bitcoin. But fundamentally speaking, there's not much going on that should have a direct impact on Bitcoin's price action. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a horrible event, and we're praying that it'll, cease immediately. We're not happy whatsoever that this is going on, but I think it is important to realize that this doesn't actually have that big of a logical connection to the price of Bitcoin. I think a lot of people realize that, and I think, as Tim was talking about earlier, the bulls are kind of waking up and saying, hey, look, we've been dormant since November. We've been in a downtrend since before Thanksgiving. It is almost it is March, actually. Today's the 1st. I think the bulls are starting to realize, wait a second, that intrinsic value gap that I was talking about earlier really is playing into this. Now, I do want to talk a little bit more about what's going on with Russia. We're not going to go into a lot of detail on this. We're going to mainly focus on discussion. There's one major update that I want to bring you. We're not here to report on all of the things that are going on in Russia. We've talked about it quite a bit. Not a lot of updates that we really need to go into. Well, two things. One, the Russians are relatively close to Kyiv, which is the capital. And two, world's biggest container shipping companies temporarily halt cargo bookings to and from Russia. Maersk and MSC, the Mediterranean Shipping Company, which make up collectively 34% of global market operator share. But both of them have shut down any kind of shipping to and from Russia, which is a very big deal, because when you don't have shipping coming into your nation, then you basically have the tap turned off on everything that your civilian population needs. So that's a really big deal. As far as I'm aware, CMA Group and Costco Group, which are the other two large shipping groups around the world, are still shipping to and from Russia, but that may cease soon, and we could end up seeing a major supply chain crisis in Russia as a result of what's going on here. You've probably heard about a lot of the other sanctions. There's a lot of talks going on about kicking Russia out of SWIFT. As Kelly mentioned earlier, Ukraine is petitioning to join the European Union. There's a lot going on there. We're not going to jump into it too much, but what I will say is that this is a story that has had a major impact on Bitcoin. At the moment, though, in today's episode and in the last couple of days, it seems like it has not had much of an impact, and it seems like the largest update around Russia-Ukraine as it pertains to Bitcoin is that Bitcoin and the U.S. stock markets are starting to decouple a little bit from this story. We've also seen the stock market rally quite a bit in the last 4 days. We're up 7% in the last 4 trading days over on SPY. But I would love to throw it to Tim. Tim, why do you think that Bitcoin is able to decouple along with the stock market from this news? Have people really finally understood, hey, this is a very bad event. This is a horrible thing that's going on, and we're not happy it's happening, but that it just, logically speaking, may not have as big of an impact on our markets as we initially thought? Is that what's going on here?
It's almost as if when we just saw a nice little test go on. When you lock people up for a year and refuse to let them do anything, and then you're caught lying about a lot of different details. And then you're trying to force things down their throat that they have no idea, that they definitely do not want to have. It's almost like you piss them off and they start to go against everything that you tell them that they should be going for. And what we're seeing right now happen, again, there's a lot of reasons why the media would love for you to think that crypto and everything else should be going down. If you look at facts, we had been tied to the NASDAQ, we've been tied to the S&P 500, we've been tied to the stock market going down, and yet we're starting to slowly show a difference in sign. It's not where I want it to be yet. I want to see them actually go in completely different directions. Thank you. My words there were fleeting me. But what I was trying to get at was people are waking up. Though we talked about this yesterday on the show. The revolution is coming and it is heating up. People are tired of broken financial systems. People are tired of working their hands and their fingers down to the bone and not being rewarded for it. And, some people are going to find other ways to try to fight it, but people are waking up to the concept of what Bitcoin and crypto and decentralized currency was made to do, and that was to take power back away from the government. So they can continue to post FUD stories. They can continue to try to scare us. They can continue to try to discourage us from getting into it. But again, there are signs. I want everyone to even think about your own personal life. People in your life who months ago were against crypto and now are asking for your advice. The storm has been brewing. It's coming to a point where it's like, this is an unstoppable train. We've been saying it now for a couple of months, and we said it. We've said it before. We're gonna keep saying it. Bitcoin is unstoppable. And I am hoping that this is some early signs of showing no matter what's happening in geopolitics, no matter what's happening in the news with flood stories, that people want Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is going to be the road to the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very important that we don't forget the long-term perspective, and we don't forget to zoom out on the 30,000-foot view. It's very easy to say, yeah, but Jeb, the last 3 months, Bitcoin's down 34%, 35, 40% from all-time high. It's very easy to look at that and say, yeah, but Jeb, look, oh my gosh, the market's down. Zoom out. Let me ask you this. How long have you been in the cryptocurrency market? If you've been in the market for 6 months, this is the end of the world. I've been in the market for 5 years, almost 5 years, 5 years and about 4 months. I've witnessed Bitcoin drop 50% in a day. I've witnessed Bitcoin drop 80% in a year. I've watched that happen, and I've run a YouTube channel through all of it, so I had to cover it every single day, and I couldn't get out of it. I couldn't just say, okay, I'll come back in 3 months and not think about it. I didn't have the opportunity to do that, so I've been here. The longer you've been in crypto, the easier it is to see the long-term perspective. In a couple of years, I will have been here for half of Bitcoin's entire existence. I'm not saying that to brag. What I am saying is that as you've been in crypto longer and longer and longer, you start to understand what really matters. I'm not for a second saying that Russia-Ukraine doesn't matter. It does. It matters a whole lot. I'm not for a second saying that the United States dollar being inflated doesn't matter. That matters a whole lot, and it impacts literally billions of people. What I am saying is that as you stay in crypto for a very long time, you start to realize what really has an impact on Bitcoin. And you start to realize that most of the bearish long-term stories that we see are actually bad. We don't want them to happen, but a lot of times they actually end up showing and illuminating the exact reason why Bitcoin was created. And the reason Bitcoin was created, make no mistake, was our company's vision statement, which was financial sovereignty. And the reason that we come on this channel every single day and we preach, and I preach financial sovereignty. The reason I preach it is because that's what Bitcoin was founded on. What is FinSov? Hashtag FinSov. Let's see it in the chat. Come on, represent, guys. You know what we're talking about here. We're talking about having control over your financial systems and institutions rather than them having control over you, because you are beholden to anyone who has control over your currency. That's the way the world works. That's why we're putting sanctions right now on Russia, is because we have the ability to have control over their economy with the way that we trade and interact with them. Bitcoin was designed to remove that power by putting the power back into your hands, the people, so that you can have the ultimate authority over what happens to your currency. That's why Bitcoin and cryptocurrency was created. And that foundational principle will never disappear. It cannot. It is hard-coded into the most rigorously built, most indestructible network in the history of mankind, and that is known as the Bitcoin network. So, Bitcoin's chart in the last 12, 13 years is up and to the right. The reason it is because that is a timeless principle that every single time it is attacked only illuminates the need for it. Whenever you attack Bitcoin, the world realizes why, in fact, we actually need Bitcoin. And no matter what happens in the news, no matter what happens in the price action, no matter what happens in the technicals, that will always be true, and Bitcoin will always eventually rally as a result of that. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed this video, you should definitely consider subscribing, because we're trying to help you become financially free in these cryptocurrency markets. And also, consider following us on Twitter, @CryptoJeb, for more updates on the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Peace.